My beloved child, you are here for a reason. This moment did not arrive by chance, and neither did you. I have watched every part of your journey, and today I tell you that this season has carried its weight long enough. You have borne pain far longer than I ever intended, and now I am stepping into what has burdened you. Stay with me and listen carefully, because this message has reached you from heaven with purpose. I remember every tear that slipped from your eyes when no one else knew you were hurting, and I counted every one of them. Today, before heaven and earth, I declare that this season of suffering is coming to its end. You have wondered how much longer you could keep going, but hear me, now I am moving on your behalf, and what has remained unchanged is about to begin shifting. You were never forgotten, never overlooked, and your waiting was never meaningless. I allowed the season of waiting, but today I am acting for you. I speak as the one who formed you before your first breath, the one who has remained beside you through every unseen struggle, even when you believed you were standing alone. I watched the moments when your strength seemed to disappear, and your heart felt too heavy to rise again. I heard the prayers you whispered when you were too weary to speak aloud, and I saw you keep moving forward when everything inside you longed to stop. You questioned your value, your future, and at times even whether I was near, yet you continued one breath at a time. That quiet perseverance never escaped my attention. I was closer than you knew, closer than your fear, closer than your doubt, closer than the silence that surrounded you. I held you in moments when you believed you were somehow holding yourself together alone. I remember the nights when your chest felt heavy with questions, and the silence seemed louder than every prayer you offered. You searched for meaning in the waiting and tried to understand pain that seemed to stretch beyond reason. Hear this clearly now. Your suffering was never punishment, and your tears were never signs of weakness. They became seeds planted in places you could not yet see. The pressure was never meant to destroy you. It was shaping you, preparing your heart for what could only be entrusted to someone refined through faith. Listen carefully, because this matters. The work of preparation has reached its appointed end. The refining has accomplished what it was meant to accomplish, and I will not allow this burden to remain once its purpose has been fulfilled. I am stepping into the places that have seemed frozen. I am touching what has resisted change. I am loosening what has held you back despite your faithfulness and your effort. You may not yet recognize it with your own eyes, but movement has already begun. What was blocked is beginning to open. What was delayed is falling into place. What once seemed impossible is yielding to my authority. When I decide the time has come, no power can reverse what I have spoken, and no voice can silence what I have begun. I always complete what I start. I know you learned to survive by staying quiet, by expecting less, and by protecting your heart from disappointment. I understand why you did that, but now I am asking you to lift your eyes again. Not because every circumstance will instantly become perfect, but because you no longer have to carry this weight by yourself. This burden does not belong in the season ahead. Lay it down before me. Release the fear that keeps telling you life will always remain this way. Let go of the belief that you have fallen behind or somehow become unworthy of rest. I am restoring what was taken from you, little by little, breath by breath, moment by moment. People may have overlooked you, and circumstances may have misunderstood your story, but heaven never lost sight of you. I marked your life during the waiting. I guarded you through seasons of confusion. I protected you from outcomes you never saw and from dangers that never reached you. Because I stood between you and them, some doors remained closed because they would have led you into deeper sorrow. Some paths ended unexpectedly because I was gently leading you toward life instead. Trust me when I tell you that nothing was wasted. Even the delays served a purpose. Even the losses became teachers. Even the silence strengthened roots that were growing where no one could see. Now I speak peace into the places that have learned to expect disappointment. I breathe healing into memories that still ache without warning. I bring clarity where confusion has lingered and hope where weariness tried to settle. You do not need to force faith into existence. Simply remain open to me. Allow me to do what your own strength could never accomplish. Let me carry what has rested on your shoulders for far too long. I am not asking you to pretend everything is fine. I am inviting you to bring me your honest heart and trust that my presence is enough. Do not dismiss this as just another message. I am reaching you now because your heart has been prepared in a way it was not before. The struggles you have walked through have made you tender, and the endurance you have shown has made you stronger. Both matter. Stay present. Stay open. Do not hurry past this moment because of distraction or doubt. The answer you have prayed for will not always arrive with great noise. Sometimes it comes quietly, like the first deep breath after holding it for far too long, like morning light filling a room before you even realize the darkness has faded. Type Amen. Jesus is the answer to all my needs. If he holds every answer for your life, I also ask you to guard what I am doing within you. Everyone will not understand the changes unfolding in your life, and everyone does not need to know what I am accomplishing in your heart. Protect your peace. Stay close to me. Let your ears become quicker to listen than your lips are to speak, and allow my work to reach its fullness in its proper time. Fruit never needs to announce itself. When it is ready, its life becomes visible on its own. You have nothing to prove to anyone. My approval is enough for you, and my timing has never missed its moment. There will still be times when fear quietly returns, bringing back memories of old disappointments. But when it does, come back to this truth. I am with you. I am not watching from a distance or waiting for you to become stronger before I draw near. I am present, I am working, and I am guiding each step, even when the road ahead is hidden from your sight. Trust the next step I place before you. Faithfulness in the small things will open doors you once believed would remain closed forever. I am renewing your strength in places that rest alone could never reach, and I am restoring joy that does not depend on changing circumstances. I am teaching your heart to feel safe again, to trust again, and to receive again. The life before you will not repeat the life behind you. You are leaving old patterns behind and walking into something new, something steadier, something anchored in peace instead of merely surviving. So breathe, my child. Let the weight leave your shoulders, and let your heart grow still in my presence. You do not have to wrestle with this moment or reason your way into doubt. Simply receive what I am giving you. I am here, and I have always been here. As you continue forward, hold this with confidence. Heaven has brought this message to you, and I will walk beside you through everything that lies ahead. Pause for a moment, my child. Yes, I am speaking to you. My words are not meant for those who simply pass by without listening. They are reaching your heart in this moment. I interrupted your routine, your scrolling, your plans, and even your thoughts, because this meeting was prepared long before today began. Nothing about this happened by accident, curiosity, or coincidence. I drew you here because your heart has been longing to hear what your spirit was ready to receive, even before you found the words to ask for it. Do not hurry past this moment, or treat it as something ordinary. When I interrupt your day, it is because something eternal is touching your life, and I desire your full attention. I know how quickly your mind wants to move on, how easily doubt whispers that these words could not truly be for you. I understand that tendency, but listen carefully, because if you walk away too quickly, you may later recognize that you stepped past something meant to strengthen your heart simply because you did not remain. This message is not intended for everyone who hears it. It is speaking into your life, your present season, the questions you have never voiced, and the pain you have quietly carried. Heaven's attention rests on you in this moment, and that alone reveals how deeply this matters. I am not far away as I speak. I am nearer than your next breath. I know the tension you carry in your chest, the thoughts that refuse to grow quiet, and the weariness hidden behind the smile you offer everyone else. I see how often responsibility has kept you moving when strength had already faded. I have watched you lower your expectations because disappointment taught you to protect your hope. But today I am interrupting that pattern. I am bringing an end to the cycle of endless endurance without renewal. I am asking for more than a passing moment of your attention, because what I am about to place within your heart will bring rest to places that have remained unsettled for far too long. Perhaps you have wondered why these words feel different, or why something inside you became still as you listened. It is because my spirit is reaching the place within you that has quietly waited for reassurance, direction, and truth. I know the voice that tells you this cannot really be personal, that heaven would never pause for someone like you. That voice does not come from me. I pause for my children. I speak when the moment is right, and I intervene when silence has completed the work it was meant to accomplish. In your life, that season of silence has accomplished its purpose. You have learned patience. You have learned endurance. You have learned humility. Now I am leading you into a deeper trust that allows you not only to survive, but also to receive. Do not overlook the importance of this moment. I am not saving these words for another day, and I am not delaying what I desire to tell you. This moment is now. Some changes require a heart that is awake, and some directions must be received before circumstances begin to shift. I know how tempting it is to believe you will return later, when life feels quieter or your mind feels more prepared. Hear me clearly. Waiting to embrace this moment will not bring greater understanding. It will only prolong confusion. When I speak with urgency, it is because the timing matters, and your willingness to listen now will spare you from looking back with regret. If this message has encouraged your heart and strengthened your walk with God, you are welcome to support this work through the support link or QR code provided in the description. Every act of support helps continue sharing messages of hope and faith with others. I have seen how much you have carried without ever explaining the full weight of it. I know how often you convinced yourself to stay strong because you felt there was no room to admit how tired you truly were. You learned to adapt, to adjust, and simply to endure, but endurance was never meant to become your permanent home. I have interrupted your path today because what you are feeling is not weakness. It is a sign that your heart is ready for something new, something lighter, something that reflects what I intended for you from the very beginning. This interruption is my invitation to step out of automatic living and become aware of what I am doing right now. I know part of you remains cautious because you have hoped before, listened before, and trusted before, only to experience disappointment. When nothing seemed to change right away, you learned to protect your heart by expecting less. I am not offended by that, and I do not misunderstand why you built those walls. But now I am asking you to let my voice reach beyond your defenses, beyond the explanations your mind keeps searching for, and beyond the skepticism that disappointment has taught you. This is not about persuading your emotions. It is about bringing your heart into harmony with my truth. Your spirit recognizes my voice, even when your thoughts hesitate to believe it. That quiet recognition is one of the reasons you are still here, still listening. Heaven has never been distracted by your life. Heaven has never hurried past your story or become uncertain about you. I have seen every faithful step you took when no one noticed, every moment you chose restraint when it would have been easier to react, and every quiet act of faith you held on to while doubt surrounded you. None of those moments were forgotten. They have all led you here. This is more than an ordinary pause in your day. It is a purposeful interruption because the season ahead will require clarity, and clarity is found by listening with an open heart, not by rushing ahead. If something within you is drawing you to remain here, that is more than curiosity. It is an invitation. If another voice urges you to pull away, to dismiss this, or to escape before your heart becomes still, recognize that for what it is. Discernment carries peace, even when it asks you to grow. Fear, on the other hand, fills the mind with excuses and pushes you toward hurried decisions. Choose discernment. Stay present. Stay open. Let this moment unfold without feeling the need to control every thought or explain away everything I am doing. I am not placing a burden on you. I am giving your heart a place to become steady again. You do not need to earn this moment, nor do you need to prove that you deserve my attention. You are here because I wanted you here, and that is enough. I speak to you as my beloved child, never as a problem waiting to be solved or a project that needs fixing. I speak with authority because I already see the road ahead, and I speak with tenderness because I know every step you have taken to reach this place. Strength and compassion exist together in me. That is why I have interrupted your day before other voices could fill your mind again, before distractions returned, and before doubt convinced you that what you were hearing meant nothing. But this does matter. This is the beginning of something quiet yet deeply meaningful. It may not arrive with dramatic signs or loud announcements, but it will gently redirect your path and unfold with purpose over time. One day you will look back on this moment and realize it carried more significance than you could see while you were living it. So remain with me. Let your thoughts slow down. Let your heart soften in my presence. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are exactly where you need to be to receive these words. Heaven is not rushing you, but heaven is watching with loving attention. And in this moment you are fully seen as we share this time together. Do not walk away too quickly. Do not allow doubt to steal what I am placing before you. Receive this moment for what it is, because this interruption has been given to you with purpose, and it opens the way for what comes next. My beloved child, I see the real you, not only the smile you offer when someone asks if you are doing well, and not only the person who keeps moving because stopping feels impossible. I see the heart beneath all of that. I see the weariness that has settled so deeply that sleep alone cannot reach it. I know how tired you truly are, even when words have never seemed large enough to explain it. You wake already carrying yesterday's weight, and you lie down at night still holding what the day has placed upon you. Your body longs for rest while your thoughts continue to race through conversations, regrets, unanswered questions, and endless what-ifs. I remember the nights when you tried to pray but were simply too exhausted to finish the words. You hoped I could understand what your silence was saying. I did. Every sigh reached me. Every tear that disappeared into your pillow was precious to me. Every lonely hour was spent in my presence, even when you believed no one knew the battle you were fighting. I have seen the emotional weight you have carried for so long, disappointment built upon disappointment, until hope itself became something you handled carefully. You trusted, and your trust was wounded. You opened your heart and someone closed theirs. Sometimes betrayal arrived through obvious pain, and sometimes it appeared quietly through promises that were never kept, changed hearts, or the absence of someone you thought would remain. I heard every question you asked in the silence of your own thoughts, wondering what had changed or whether you had somehow failed. I know the loneliness that settled over you, even in rooms filled with people. I know what it feels like to believe you have become unseen, misunderstood, or easily replaced. You learned to answer, "I'm fine," because explaining the truth felt heavier than carrying it alone. Yet I knew the weight hidden behind those words. I saw how deeply you longed for someone to notice your pain without needing an explanation, to care without requiring you to defend your tears. I noticed. I cared. My eyes never turned away from you. I also see the weariness that reached your spirit. I know what it feels like when prayer seems unanswered, and faith begins to feel more like perseverance than refuge. You kept coming to me even when your heart felt empty. You continued believing while doubt quietly whispered that nothing would ever change. You wondered if I was listening, whether you had done something wrong, or whether your prayers still mattered at all. You even felt guilty for asking those questions, yet they continued to rise within you because your heart was longing to understand. Hear me now, my child. Your honesty never offended me, and your questions never pushed me away. I was never distant from your struggle, even when it felt as though heaven had grown silent. Faith that wrestles is not weak. Faith. It is the kind of faith that keeps reaching for me even when the answers have not yet appeared. I know what it felt like to pray for the same request day after day, month after month, and sometimes year after year while nothing seemed to change before your eyes. You waited. You obeyed. You continued to trust. Yet when the answer did not come, you began to wonder whether silence itself was the answer. You questioned whether you had been forgotten, overlooked, or quietly left behind. You wondered if your pain was too small to matter or too complicated to heal. But my beloved child, I was never indifferent to your tears, and your suffering never failed to move my heart. Silence was never my absence, and delay was never my rejection. I have seen the weight this season has placed upon your body, the tension resting across your shoulders, the heaviness in your chest, and the exhaustion that remained even after you tried to rest. I watched your strength slowly fade until even ordinary tasks felt difficult, yet you kept pressing forward because stopping no longer felt safe. You convinced yourself that other people had greater struggles, and that you should simply be thankful and remain quiet. But pain is not measured by comparison, and exhaustion never needs permission to be real. I never asked you to diminish what you were carrying. I wanted you to bring it to me. Right, amen. My hope is anchored in Christ alone. If your faith rests securely in Him, let that confession rise from your heart. I remember the moments when your tears came without warning and you quickly wiped them away before anyone could notice. I remember the times you sat alone, allowing yourself only enough space to break before gathering the strength to keep going again. I heard every prayer whispered through trembling tears as you simply asked me to help you endure one more day because you no longer knew how much strength remained within you. Every one of those prayers reached me. Every tear spoke a language heaven never struggles to understand. Not one of them was overlooked. I know the quiet burden of always being strong for everyone else while feeling empty inside. You carried responsibilities that left little room for your own weakness. You encouraged others while longing for someone to encourage you. You listened while secretly hoping someone would listen to you. You poured yourself out until there was almost nothing left to give. That kind of strength carried a cost, and you paid more than you realized. I saw every moment you longed to rest but believed you could not, and every time you wanted to speak honestly but convinced yourself to remain silent. I never required that silence from you, and I never asked you to suffer alone. I know the confusion that settled over you when life stopped making sense. Doors closed without explanation, plans unraveled before your eyes, and the future became uncertain in ways you never expected. You tried to remain patient. You chose to keep trusting, yet fear quietly whispered that nothing would ever change, and that this heaviness would become your permanent home. Little by little, you lowered your expectations, made your dreams smaller, and prepared yourself for more disappointment, simply because it felt safer than hoping again. You did those things to survive, but survival was never the destination I prepared for you. Listen carefully and receive this truth deeply. Nothing about your suffering ever surprised me, and not a single part of your struggle escaped my attention. The weight you have carried has been real. You were never being dramatic, and you were never weak. You endured far more than many people ever knew, and you carried it with quiet faithfulness even when your heart felt exhausted. I was present in every unseen moment, in every breath you fought to take, when you thought you had reached your limit. You never needed to explain your pain for me to recognize it. I already knew. I already understood. I already cared. I was never simply observing your journey from a distance. I remained with you in it. When you felt abandoned, my presence stayed near. When you felt misunderstood, I understood what no one else could see. When your heart had nothing left to carry, I held a burden that had become too heavy for you. You have never been invisible to me, and heaven has never overlooked your story. Every sleepless night, every unanswered prayer, every betrayal that wounded your heart, and every tear you cried in secret has been fully seen by heaven. You do not have to convince me how difficult this season has been. I know. Because I know, I speak to you now with compassion, authority, and love. You have been completely seen without needing to explain yourself, and I remain with you as we continue forward together. My beloved child, I also know the question that has quietly echoed within your heart. You have asked it in moments of exhaustion, through tears and confusion, and even in the frustration you felt guilty for expressing. You asked, why? Why this pain? Why such a long season? Why did silence remain when you cried out? Why did it seem as though I allowed you to carry more than you believed you could bear? Hear me without fear, without shame, and without misunderstanding. What you walked through was never punishment. It was never abandonment. It was never evidence that I had turned my face away from you, or that you had somehow failed me. I have never used suffering to withdraw my love from you. What I allowed because I was accomplishing something deeper than what you could yet see. That never meant I delighted in watching you hurt. Everything I permitted remained within my purpose. I do not waste pain, and I never overlook tears. The silence you experienced was not absence, it was a season held securely in my hands. I was carrying you through a work that required stillness, one that could not be hurried or fully explained without interrupting what was being formed within your heart. I know silence can feel like rejection when you are hurting, and waiting can feel like being forgotten. But my silence was never indifference. It carried intention. Some things are formed only in quiet places. Some strength can only grow where life slows down. Some depths of trust are discovered only when certainty has not yet arrived. I was never watching from a distance while you struggled. I was closer than ever, working beneath the surface, shaping what you could not yet understand. I was protecting you from paths that would have wounded you more deeply than the waiting ever could, and I was guarding your heart from receiving answers before the right time. You believed the delay meant you were unprepared or somehow unworthy. My child, that was never true. The season of waiting was never about making you worthy. It was preparing you for something that required a deeper foundation, one built through discernment, endurance, and a faith that could not be formed overnight. I was strengthening what no one else could see, so that when what I have prepared for you arrives, It will not overwhelm your heart or leave you unsteady. I was teaching you to stand even when no one applauded, to trust even when reassurance was absent, and to remain firmly rooted when everything around you seemed uncertain. Those lessons were painful, but they were never without purpose, and they were never meant to last forever. I know you looked around and wondered why others appeared to move ahead, while you felt as though you were standing still. You questioned why doors opened for them while yours remained closed. You searched your own heart, asking whether you had failed, missed my direction, or simply waited too long. But my child, your journey was never meant to mirror anyone else's. Comparison only deepened your sorrow because it drew your eyes away from the work I was quietly accomplishing within you. I was never delaying you in order to withhold good from you. I was positioning you so that when the door opened, you would walk through it with peace instead of panic, with clarity instead of desperation. I know you felt as though you had been refined by fire, pressed from every side and stretched beyond what felt comfortable. Refining is rarely gentle. Growth is not always quiet. Preparation often feels like loss before it is recognized as blessing. I was removing what could not travel with you into the next season. I was loosening the things that would have limited you later. Through disappointment, I was teaching discernment, and through restraint, I was shaping wisdom. None of it was wasted. Even the moments you believed had broken, you were quietly building a strength you had not yet discovered within yourself. You asked why I did not rescue you sooner. You wondered why I allowed the pain to continue before stepping in. Hear me with an open heart. I intervene when the work of that season has reached its purpose, when the heart is prepared, and when the time is right. Had I ended it too soon, you would have carried unanswered questions, unhealed wounds, and untested faith into what comes next. I love you too deeply to send you forward before your heart was ready. I remained beside you until you could walk without being led by fear or bitterness. I know you questioned whether I was listening, because your prayers did not immediately change what surrounded you. But prayer has never been only about changing circumstances. It also shapes the heart that continues praying. During the waiting, your spirit grew stronger, your discernment became clearer, and your compassion reached deeper places. You became someone who understands another person's pain, who notices what others overlook, and who carries humility instead of pride. These are lasting gifts, and they matter deeply for what lies ahead. Now hear this with confidence. The suffering was permitted for a season, but it was never meant to become your permanent home. Preparation has its boundary. Refining has its completion. Every season of growth reaches its appointed end, and this one has accomplished what it was meant to accomplish. You are not called to remain beneath this weight any longer. Its purpose has been fulfilled. I am not asking you to prove your faith by enduring more pain. Your endurance has already spoken. There may still be moments you do not fully understand, conversations that ended without answers, losses that still seem confusing, or chapters that never made complete sense. That is all right. Understanding does not always arrive before the transition begins. Sometimes clarity comes while you are walking forward instead of while you are standing still. Trust me when I tell you that nothing in your journey happened without purpose. Even what appeared unnecessary will one day reveal its place within the story I have been writing. Do not allow regret to grow where growth has already taken root. Do not accuse yourself for staying too long or for hoping too deeply. You responded with the understanding you had at the time, and I was with you through every decision, every hesitation, and every step. When resentment tempted you, you chose love. When anger invited you to react, you chose patience. I do not measure your journey by how quickly you moved. I measure it by your faithfulness, and you remained faithful even when your heart was weary. Now release the belief that pain must always remain your teacher. Its lesson has been completed. The season has changed. I am not leading you into another cycle of endless endurance. I am leading you into renewal. What lies ahead is not inviting you merely to survive. It is inviting you to receive, to rest, to live, and to walk in what has been prepared for you. Let go of the fear that tells you every blessing will eventually disappear. Release the habit of expecting disappointment before hope has a chance to grow. That response helped you survive, but it was never meant to define your future. You were not destined to repeat this chapter. You are leaving it behind. The suffering you carried has completed its work, and it no longer holds authority over what comes next. I allowed it for a season, but I am not allowing it to continue beyond its purpose. I am speaking because that purpose has been fulfilled. I am moving because the preparation is complete. You were never abandoned throughout the process, and you are certainly not forgotten now. What you walked through mattered, but it no longer has the final word over your life. This chapter is closing, not because you escaped it, but because you have grown through it. As we move forward together, you will carry what strengthens you and leave behind what no longer belongs with you. My beloved child, listen with a heart that is open and ready to receive. This moment marks a turning point. I speak with the authority of heaven, without hesitation and without uncertainty. I have watched every tear, heard every prayer, and seen every quiet act of endurance. Now heaven has spoken. The decision has been made. The season has reached its appointed end. You have carried this burden long enough. This is more than encouragement meant to comfort you for a moment. It is my declaration. The suffering that refined you, tested you, and shaped your faith has fulfilled its purpose. It will not follow you into the season ahead. I am not bargaining with your pain or asking it to loosen its grip. By my authority, I bring that season to its conclusion. What was permitted for a time is now dismissed by my word. I know how long these days have felt. I know how heavy the nights became, and how often you wondered whether the line between what had been and what would come next would ever appear. That line is being drawn now. The chapter that required endurance without understanding is closing. The season that demanded strength beyond what you believed you possessed is ending. I am not delaying this announcement, nor am I extending the waiting any longer. The appointed time has arrived. When heaven speaks, my word is never casual or uncertain. What I establish is not temporary, and what I declare I do not withdraw. I have seen what this season has cost you in your heart, your body, your mind, and your spirit. I have watched you carry burdens that were never easy to bear, and I have seen your faith remain even when relief seems slow to come. Your faithfulness has been seen, your endurance has been honored, and now release has come. Say Amen. I believe He is working behind the scenes even when I cannot yet see the outcome. Then share this video with someone who may need this message today.